And now a bonus segment from the Big John and Ramblin' Ray show.
Really, two of the most handsome and well-respected and revered radio guys in this town.
Absolutely, at least we think so. Ray, House Republican leader Jim Durkin, he's a Republican out of Western Springs, has introduced legislation to make property tax vacancy fraud a Class 4 felony in Illinois. That's after our Cook County Inspector General found that J.B. Pritzker knowingly committed fraud to avoid paying $330,000 in taxes. And not surprisingly, Ray, that came up during the gubernatorial debate last night on ABC 7.
Do you agree that schemes to defraud taxpayers involving potentially tax fraud, mail fraud, and perjury, as the Inspector General has said, do you believe those schemes deserve to be prosecuted? Yes or no, and why?
Governor Rauner, this was a leaked memo for political purposes, and your Republican Party is trying to take advantage of that leak. The fact is that we abided by the rules, and and we made sure
you sent the money back because you got caught.
Governor Rauner,
$330,000 of cheating.
Can you let me finish, please?
From the bill, it provides that a person commits property tax vacancy fraud, Ray, when he or she knowingly owns a vacant property and for 2 years or more consecutively, in which vacancy relief is granted, has not actively attempted to sell, lease, or alter the vacant property.
I tell you what, there's a lot of rundown and shoddy developments there when you get around that block of Astor Court.
That part of Chicago, really, it's a blight, and something should be done. Maybe we just raise the whole neighborhood and start over.
Maybe turn it into to another. Maybe you put another cloud gate there, another bean. Make it a park.
Let me just ask Republican leader Jim Durkin, who joins us now in WLS First. Was this bill perhaps politically motivated, considering the election is just a short time away?
It was as politically motivated as the Inspector General report from earlier this week. There's no difference. This puts a focus and a highlight on what has been happening for years with unscrupulous landowners who have intentionally gamed the system by not improving their properties and applying for vacancy permits to get deductions. This is no different than what these people who own these flop houses and also these slumlords all over the city are doing. The same intent. They're gaming the system, they meaning J.B. Pritzker. The report is clear. He committed a fraud. There was nothing that was political. When he said that this was a politically leaked report, this is a report from a Democrat Inspector General for Cook County.
I noticed that. I thought that was, when that report came out, Leader Durkin, I thought to myself, it's from the Cook County Inspector General.
This is a Cook County. This is not the Republican Party who did this. I guess that what really amazes me is that people like Pritzker and other Democrats don't believe that property tax money is real money. There's a number of people, just go down to the U.S. Attorney's Office and find out how many people who have fudged with their taxes every year don't get the break from the IRS nor the U.S. Attorney's Office. And if they come back and say that, you know what, I'm going to pay back that $200,000, you can do that for mitigation at sentencing, but it doesn't prove or disprove the fact that you have committed a fraud upon a government agency. In this case, it's on the taxpayers of Cook County.
So let me just be clear. You can leave your property vacant if you maintain it, but you can't take a tax break.
Correct.
Yeah, so this is for people that want to essentially, as you said, game the system. Now, what about just on kind of a separate issue, but it seems parallel to me, with our Attorney General, Democrat Lisa Madigan, opening a criminal probe into Bruce Rauner's administration handling of the Quincy veterans crisis. Would that be politically motivated in your mind, Mr. Durkin?
Well, I will say this. If she doesn't look into, or if somebody from the Cook County State's Attorney's Office or the AG's office don't look into this, which is on its face, it's already been an investigation that determined there was a scheme to defraud. Now, I have not looked into the issue, and I've been following it as much as I can with the veterans home, and it's a very complicated issue. But I tell you what, the governor has spent nights there with the veterans over the past 3 years. I don't think the Attorney General, I wonder whether she's even stepped into the grounds, but I'd like to know what the basis of her investigation is. And it's a very difficult situation where you do have our elder members of our society who served our nation, who are in the last years of their life. We have to do everything to protect them. But you know what? If she believes that something criminal was brought, prove it. Let's see it.
You know,
the fact is, that's we already have a report that says that the Democrat nominee, the fifth or sixth richest man in the state of Illinois, has gamed the system in Illinois through fraud.
Well, Jim, I know that, right now I can hear the Jim Durkin, that's a former prosecutor, coming out. So I guess you go back to the toilet issue. Is this something that needs to be...
Former prosecutor and plumber.
Well, no, but we go back. Let's go back to the J.B. Pritzker issue here. I shouldn't say toilet issue, but Mr. Durkin, do you think that they should be investigated, and should there be a prosecution? Could there be?
There could be, and that is what the role of the U.S. Attorney and the State's Attorney at Cook County. That is their responsibility. When a report comes from that Inspector General that says fraud was committed, nothing further needs to be done. This is where the State's Attorney or the U.S. Attorney must take action, and they've done this in the past, where they don't need to have someone come up with a, knocking on a door and say, please investigate this. It's in the public domain. A fraud was committed. It needs to be investigated. And if there is a crime that has occurred, let the chips fall where they may.
What did you think about your colleague, Bruce Rauner's performance last night in the debate?
I think the governor was strong. I think he laid it out about what's at stake, and he's defined Mr. Pritzker for who he is. I think the governor has done a fine job in the last two debates, and I hope people understand that if you give J.B. Pritzker keys to the mansion, that what you've done is that you've enabled Mike Madigan for another 10 years as long as he wants to stay down there. There's absolutely zero checks and balances left in state government.
Do you think that if J.B. Pritzker is successful and becomes the next governor, just out of spite, he'll remove the recently renovated toilets out of the mansion in Springfield?
All right, this is the time that I take the fifth.
Smart man.
Step away.
All right, Leader Durkin, thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Take care. Now, for more of Big John and Ramblin' Ray, tune into the live weekday morning show from 6 until 9 on WLS-AM 890. Where do I find that?
You find that at AM 890 on the AM dial, Johnny, or at WLSAM.com.
.com.